This is the transition that we are going to create in this lecture. It's based on the transition we created in the previous lecture, also using radial wipe, and you will learn a couple of tricks here. Now to start, let's select rectangles and its matte and press Ctrl D, so we have both of them here. Double click on rectangle 2 and then come to the name here, says close other comps. Cool. In rectangle 2, I don't want to have a rectangle matte, I want to have a rectangle matte 2. So I will select both of them like you see, they are highlighted. Press the Alt or the Option key on the Mac, click and drag and drop it. So everything is the same except we have rectangle matte 2, okay, and we have rectangle 2. I would double click on rectangle matte 2 and we have already here the animation opening. Fine. So I will select all the layers, right click and pre-compose, and let's call them, for example, rectangles both sides. So the first one, maybe we change the name from rectangles matte to rectangles right matte. Okay, no problem. Then I'm coming back to rectangle matte 2. I have the simple animation that's still there. I will take a rectangle both sides and drop another copy over here. So notice like nothing is happening. So now we have just two of them on top of each other. That's very fine. What I will do is very simple. Just a small tip if you like. I will just open the rotation and rotate the whole composition 180 degrees. Here you are. So now if you play, all you have is both of them coming and it doesn't look good at all. It's just opening on the right side for the top one. To solve this problem or to add more things here, we are going to play with the mode. If you change the mode, for example, to screen, now you have something quite logical that's happening here. Pretty nice, by the way. Here you are. Okay, see it? Pretty nice. Let's go and see it on the main composition. It should be rectangle 2, that's it. And we play, you have something pretty beautiful and quite, I would say refined here. You can see the bottom video coming in and then it opens at 100%. Now, I have used screen, but you can come over and decide, okay, I want to use, for example, multiply. Let's look at the animation here if it makes sense. Yes, not bad. Actually, it's pretty cool. Let's go try it on the other side. Here you are. If you play, it's opening and then the last one opens like in a diamond. So actually this is all about the radial wipe and how to create this kind of transitions. Of course you can come and play a lot, change the mode the way you would like, change the position, for example make 4 of them each at a certain angle, 90 degrees, 180 degrees and 270, and you will have 4 of them opening with some amalgam of kaleidoscope kind of transition. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next lecture. Let's work on this linear transition. This is gonna be part 1. In the next lecture, I'll show you part 2 and it's gonna be more beautiful. Okay guys, so let's start. First of all, I did my linear transition part 1 test composition and we start working. We want to create our matte, of course. Let's go to the rectangle tool and of course you deselect everything and double click to create a full rectangle on the composition. Let's remove the fill and make it white so we can do it very well. And then I'm gonna chop it off at 2 seconds. We are at 2 seconds. Then I will use Alt or Option on the Mac and the right square bracket. Here you are. So I chopped it off. It's now 2 seconds. I will right click and say pre-compose. And here you see it says adjust composition duration to the time span of the selected layer. 2 seconds here, click and you have a 2 seconds composition. That's another way, some shortcuts. To create our linear transition, I'm gonna use a preset. Of course, I will go to the effect and preset. You have animation preset. In transition wipes, you have here a linear wipe. Before you apply it to the timeline, make sure that your timeline indicator is at 00 because this preset will add some keyframes. Here you are. If I press U to see the keyframes, there is one at 1 second and one at 0 seconds. If you look at the animation, it's very simple. Just, wiping from the left to the right. Cool. Let's select both layers, press F9, go to the graph editor and make it a bit more, nicer in terms of speed, so it slams down very smoothly. Actually, we forgot to rename this composition. Let's rename it, and let's call it linear matte. Click OK. It's 2 seconds and 1 frame if you notice, but it's okay, fine. Let's go back to our main composition here, and if you post it just in the right place and apply the Luma inverted, you notice you have already a nice transition, somehow nice. Okay, this is a very usual transition, everywhere you can see it. Let's go back to the linear matte. We're gonna do almost the same process here. Of course, we duplicate 3-4 times, as many as you want. Now you want to change the colors. So the first one is gonna be white, 100%. Second one, let's make it 80% white. You notice the 80% here white just makes it a bit darker. Okay, so nearer you get to the plain white, more you have percentage of black. I'll check the other one and make it 60%, and the last one, let's make it 40%. Okay, you can add another one and make it 20% or so. So now we need to time them. Select all of them, press U, and you have all the keyframes. And of course you can time them the way you want. Now I'll take 5 frames. You can do more or less, the way you would like, guys. It's your taste. So it's working very fine. Let's come to 2 seconds, select all the keyframes, shift, and we drag them to this side. Let's look at our animation, and it's pretty cool. Here you are. Now if you play here, it's gonna be pretty nice, but let's make it a bit nicer, guys. What do you think? Let's go to the linear matte here. We have very many layers here, and I want to apply an effect to all the layers here. Well, this is gonna be harsh because I will have to apply the effect on each one of them. Instead, I will use an adjustment layer. This, you right click in your composition, you go to new, and you say adjustment layer. Well, adjustment layer is really, you can't see anything on it, but any effect that you apply on the adjustment layer will also be applied to all the layer beneath the adjustment layer. So it's pretty practical. One effect on the adjustment layer on top, all the layers below will have the same effect. For this, let's apply, for example, a blur. Here are the blurs. I'm gonna take the fast box blur, here it is, and apply it to the adjustment layer. Now notice what's happening. If I increase the blur radius, all of them are getting blurred, all the layers beneath. You notice? Okay, then there is this black all around here. Sometimes it's very useful, sometimes it's very annoying, like now. So I'm gonna say repeat edge pixel check it. So the edges are not blurred, only whatever you can see from the borders of the rectangles. Cool. So if you play your animation here, pretty nice. Let's go back and see the effect of the blur now. It's pretty cool and actually very nice. Notice how smooth is this transition. It's very beautiful. You can even use it on TV, on very, I would say, official programs if you like. So this is about the linear wipe, and there are so many tricks you can play here, and of course you can add to it and change it and add more layers, do more artistic than I'm showing you now. I hope so, at least. In the next lecture, guys, we are going to use this same linear matte transition, and I will show you something different. I will see you in the next lecture. So based on the transition we created in the previous lecture, we are going to create this transition that's very smooth, somehow hypnotic, in 2 parts. I will show you the 2 parts, and you can decide which one you want to use or which one you want to add more effect even. So let's start here. First of all, I will select linear matte and linear transition part 1, press Ctrl D or Command D on the Mac, and then they are linear matte 2 and linear transition 2. I will double click on them and they will open both here. I will come and close the other 2. Here you are. In the linear transition part 2, I will select linear matte. I wanted to put linear matte 2, so I'll press Alt or Option on the Mac, click and drag to do a full replacement. Fine. Let's open linear matte 2. We have the same, absolutely. That's pretty cool. First thing I'm going to do is to select all of them, right click and pre-compose. Here we're going to call it, for example, linear matte animation. And I will click OK. Now, I have the linear matte here, animation, a single composition. Of course, maybe you guessed it, I will duplicate it, but then they are on top of each other, so I will lose rotation. We already done this 180 degrees, and if you play it, you know they are on top of each other, nothing is happening. I will change the mode here. I will go to multiply. Feel free to go to the other, like screen, like add, lighten, any one of them. Play with them, they are very interesting. For the course, I will use multiply. If I play the animation now, pretty cool. Let's go to the main linear transition part 2. If you play, you have something pretty cool, and you already have a transition that is very different, but yet you have done very little work. Let's continue if you like. I will take back linear math 2 and take this last one and duplicate it also twice. Of course, now they are all on top of each other. It doesn't make sense, you know that. I will take the linear math 2, open the rotation, and rotate it 90 degrees. And the last one rotated minus 90. So actually I have both of them here, and if you play your animation, you have something pretty funny here with lines and so on. It's all mess. Fine. To adjust this, you can use also the mode, which is pretty interesting, and put the mode to multiply for the 3 top layers. Notice now how it's going. It's very interesting and pretty not nice because we have the sharp lines here. Fine, let's take the last 2, press S, this is for scale, and let's scale both of them. Of course, I remove the chain link on the y-axis. Here you are. Fine. Now, if you play your animation, you truly have something very nice. Let's go to the main one, see exactly what we have here. That is pretty cool. So with a bit of imagination, a bit of rotation, duplication, you created a new transition out of almost the same work you have done previously. Of course, guys, please feel free here to select these layers, for example, and go and make them all screen. Okay, and you have a different animation now. It's your choice the way you do it. It's a bit faint, this one with the screen. Notice, not so much. Cool, I will undo the screen. You notice, guys, maybe here the blur is too much. If you reduce it, you might have even a better transition. Let's try it. Let's go to linear math 2, then linear math animation, go to effects control, and let's set the blur at 15 only. Here you are. Now you have sharper lines. But I think it will be much more beautiful if you come back to the main composition. Here you are. It is, I think, better. It's up to you now, it's your choice. You know, you can see the rectangles opening, some kind of lines and blurs. It's like fireworks with the blur. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was very constructive for you and you start creating your own transitions using this system. I'll see you in the next lecture.